Hello and good evening to you. Welcome to News 360 and it's live from a news hub here at this hour in Kanda. My name is Alfred Okansi.
And I'm Natalie Fort. Let's get into the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
League matches scheduled this weekend to go on despite tragic accident involving players and officials of Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
Tonight, we speak to the deputy captain of the team, Eric Donko, who was on the bus when the accident happened. Also this evening, policeman shot in daylight robbery at the Beka La Paz here in Accra.
And property owners on the East Legon Greenbelt in Accra sue the Accra Metropolitan Assembly over attempts to demolish their structures.
And in business this evening, Chief Executive Officer of the Universal Merchant Bank, John Ewa, says the bank's first funded One District, One Factory project will start in September.
And on the foreign front, at least 12 people killed after two suicide bombers blew themselves up in a busy market in northeastern Cameroon. We've got the details of these stories as well as the latest from the world of entertainment here on News 360. Remember, we're streaming live on 3news.com as well as TV3 Ghana on Facebook. We start off this evening with sports. We're joined in studio by Thierry Nan. Rather unfortunate event, isn't it?
Yeah, good evening. And on that particular note, let's begin the bulletin today with some sports news. And like Natalie said, rather sad event. Kumasi Asante Kotoko's Premier League game against Accra Hearts of Oak on Sunday has been postponed indefinitely after the team's bus accident on Wednesday night. All other league games scheduled ahead this weekend will go ahead on Sunday. The Professional League Board has also directed that every club should wear red and black armbands and observe a minute's silence in honor of the club's equipment officer, Kofi Osare, who died in the accident.
It has been a day of mourning and reflection for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Many of the club's players, with the exception of midfielder Ashite Olenu, were released after treatment. Club doctor Michael Lest says the damage to the playing body goes beyond physical injury.
Stand here and say by next week everybody will be ready to play here. I mean, it wouldn't be possible. We are monitoring them, and the treatment it involves both physical and then psychological treatment. Anything goes on, we will inform you of. I mean, you can go to the communication unit.
The club has confirmed in a statement that their equipment officer Kofi Osare did not survive the accident near Nkoko. The club's coach Steve Pollack, his assistants Gordon Ablode and bus driver Nana Berchi have all been receiving treatment at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital. While grateful for the public show of support, the club also say they have been happy with some of the coverage of the accidents in the media.
We all have to understand that we should be very mindful of our cultural sensitivities when we are reporting these. But yesterday, unfortunately, is a very dark day for Asante Kotoko Sporting Club. And it's a day that all of us will remember. But we just pray that it never happens. As of now, our prayers with the families of the deceased and those who are responding to treatment.
Meanwhile, Kumasi Asante Kotoko have continued to receive support from across the country. President Nana Akufo-Addo tweeted he hopes that the club will recover from this tragic incident. The Ghana Football Association says it will provide all the necessary support after sending two of its officials to the hospital this morning. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Isaac Esiama, also visited the team in the hospital.
As government, we will know what to do to support Kumasi Asante Kotoko. We are going to take care of all the medical bills, everything. The government is going to take care of all the bills. We are also going to have a package for the team. That will be discussed together with the management of the team. I've come here with additional 10,000 support to the team. Never again should we experience such an incident.
Let's go now on the phone lines and speak to an eyewitness on the bus, Asante Kotoko Vice Captain Eric Donko. He was on a bus from Accra to Kumasi on Wednesday night. He was there with his colleagues when the accident occurred, and we speak to him now to give us his account of the events. Good evening, Eric, if you can hear me.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, all right. Welcome to News 360. Now, tell us exactly what happened on your way to Kumasi. There have been some diverse explanations to that particular story. What exactly is your account of what happened Wednesday night?
Okay, first and foremost, I want to thank God for His mercies and His protection. It wasn't easy, but God willing, we survived, we the players, but unfortunately we lost a technical team member. That was very sad. It was very sad for us, the players, to witness one person died in that accident. Of course, as you said, I was sitting at the back of the bus when the accident happened, and I wasn't asleep. I was awake, and it happened. Yeah, we were overtaking one big, long vehicle, not knowing there was a Kia car packed with fertilizer, and we just ran into it. And there wasn't even any triangle or any symbol to show that there is a sports car there. So we just ran into it, and that caused the accident.
Now it's been confirmed that, the equipment officer, Mr. Sari, has passed on, right?
Yeah, sure.
What exactly are your memories of this departed, official of Kumasi Asante Kotoko?
Okay, I attend Assemblies of God, and he's also a member of an Assemblies of God church. So whenever he sees me, he just say, Asoreba. So that's what I use to remember him all the time. So when I heard the news, I was like, oh, God, Asoreba is gone, and he's gone forever.
As a leader of the Kotoko team, what exactly are you telling the boys at the moment, especially the injured ones?
Of course, I just want to wish them well. I know it's not easy. These are difficult moments in each one's life, but we have to pick ourselves up and have the heart to come back stronger as one person, as a team. You know, as the tradition or the motto says, we live as brothers, we pray as brothers, we play as brothers, and I know I'm wishing all of them speedy recovery.
Finally, before I let you go, you mentioned that you're expecting them to return. When exactly is the expectation of their return? Do you have any defined dates, at least from the medical team, taking care of these players?
No. We didn't get any signs, or we didn't get any date for us for our recovery. You know, everyone sustains different types of injuries, so it will depend. Maybe some people can be healed, let's say 2 days. Some people 3 days. You can't tell, but
all right.
I'm hoping that everyone comes back stronger as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Eric. That was the vice captain of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Eric Donko, who was giving us his account of exactly what happened while on the bus when the event happened. I'm talking about the accident that the Kotoko team, had yesterday. So that is it. May the soul of, Mr. Sari, the equipment officer, rest in perfect peace. We also wish the injured players a very, very speedy recovery. Natalie Fort is standing by to bring us, some reactions from some top officials in, this particular country. I'll return with some more sports news later in this bulletin.
Absolutely, Theory. Certainly a very sad occurrence there. And the entire football fraternity, statesmen, as well as citizens in general, have had very heartfelt messages coming out with regards to the Kotoko team. And so I'm going to run you through a few of those. President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, says on his Twitter page, saddened by the news of the accident involving players and officials of Kotoko, my heart goes out to the team. Speedy recovery to the injured. Former President John Dramani Mahama has also spoken. He said, let's remember Asante Kotoko in our prayers. We certainly should remember them in our prayers. Captain of the Black Stars, Asamoah Gyan, says, "My thoughts and prayers are with the management, the playing body and the supporters of Kumasi Asante Kotoko on this fatal accident." And lastly, Accra Hearts of Oak, who they were set to play against over the weekend, says, "We are extremely sullen and crestfallen to learn about this tragedy. Our prayers are with you. Pray for Kotoko." Certainly a very unfortunate event there, Alfred.
It is indeed a very unfortunate event. We also got some information that the mate on the truck in which this Asante Kotoko bus crashed into has also passed on. So this brings the number to 2, the number of casualties where that's a result of this particular accident. So that's the information we're getting to. But the chairman of the Parliamentary Senate Committee on Transport, Samuel Ayepaye, is saying that the committee is reconsidering a proposal on the implementation of the National Road Towing Levy. He is of the view road carnages in the country could have been averted if there is an effective towing service.
The implementation of the mandatory national towing levy, which was supposed to take effect on July 1, was suspended as a result of agitations over the high fees involved. The levy, when implemented, will ensure that all broken down vehicles, which is alleged to have been the cause of about 20% of road accidents and fatalities, would be reduced. Chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Transport, Samuel Ayepaye, affirmed the committee has engaged stakeholders on the project and is yet to submit a proposal to the sector minister for reconsideration. He blamed motorists for most of the road carnages. Roland Walker speaks for Road Safety Management Limited, the organization tasked for the towing service.
We have an agreement with the National Road Safety Commission, and if the National Road Safety Commission, per the strategy they are implementing based on the advice from their transaction advisor, says that we should go onto the road today, we're ready to tow.
Management and the playing body of the Kumasi Asante Kotoko football team were on July 12 involved in a fatal accident at Nkoko after a bus transporting them rammed into a stationary truck. Head of Education Research and Training at the Motor Transport and Traffic Department, DSP Alexander Obeng, affirmed reports obtained from the preliminary investigation suggests the driver of the bus transporting the team was dozing off.
The idea that the vehicle was stuck is not what the investigation is pointing out to, but that the vehicle was slowly climbing and the smoke was too thick, and the driver of the bus probably couldn't have seen what was ahead, but decided unprofessionally to go through it, or the likelihood that he was sleeping.
He wants the National Road Towing Services project implemented to protect lives.
All right, so this also goes to raise the concerns about what's happening. The carnage on our roads, it's about 1.6% of the GDP at the end of every year, and that translates to about 2,000 deaths every year. And out of that 2,000 deaths, 22% of it is caused by vehicles that are broken down and left on the roads, and Asante Kotoko example is one that comes in mind very, very recently. I'll be joined via Skype by Kwame Echiahene, who is the Director of Communications at the National Road Safety Commission. Echiahene, I thank you very much. Good evening to you. Now, this accident clearly gives reason for the Road Safety Commission to begin to speed up the call for this levy, isn't it?
Well, thank you, and good evening to your viewers. I think from the one we have been at very regular intervals. It happens that this time it's got to be related to a very popular team, much as popular persons are involved. Our condolences and sympathies to the Kotoko fraternity. But I mean, it emphasizes the need for this. We've been talking about it for long. That it is not a flash in the pan. If you look back to data that goes back to 1991, I mean, it has emerged that it's such a major issue that we cannot overlook. It is the reason we try to look at the various options and propose means of trying to deal with these concerns, as you may know.
But this review of this whole levy, because of the public outcry against it, how long is it going to take? Because clearly something needs to be done. You know, the more you waste time about this, the more people die needlessly on our roads, and that's unacceptable.
Yes, I agree with you. Unfortunately, the communication that came from the Ministry of Transport did not set out exactly when. It said that the commencement has to be suspended, and one of the key deliverables was for stakeholders to have further consultation to advise on when the project will start. I believe soon after the commencement, the suspension, the Transport Subcommittee of Parliament took the initiative to try to understand where we are. And I'm aware that this week, they have been talking and having engagement with some of the relevant stakeholders that are involved in this project. I would only imagine that with the presence of mind and what has happened in the recent, it will encourage them to intensify efforts so that we can bring these matters to closure.
But finally, speed is of the essence. I mean, Ghanaian lives matter, and the kind of carnage on our roads is clearly of concern. If you're having any review to the previous proposal of the levy, what are you going to consider in changing, in bringing back this levy that was withdrawn? I mean, the proposal for this levy that was withdrawn.
That will be difficult for me to say at this point, because many of the options that came out from the public had been experimented in one form or the other. So without running the risk of saying that we are at our wet hands, we don't pretend to have the custody of wisdom. We expect that these engagements will bring up other options. But the toll and charge has been experimented. It's been around since 1950. It didn't quite give us the impact that we desire. We have tried to zone this country into 6 assigned companies to these corridors to provide a service under some model. It didn't quite work. So out of a scarcity of options, we thought that if we were to introduce this system, which will require that we make minimum contributions in order to encourage private participation in areas where government haven't done well, maybe for once we'll get a desired solution. But in the wisdom of many people who complained, I mean, we cannot begrudge them for these sentiments. I think it is out of good reason, much as the proposal we also put out was very much informed on the experiences of our time and the historical antecedents. So we'll leave it to the good judgment of Parliament. The Commission, in fact, as a matter of fact, our only motivation is to find a solution to this problem. It doesn't matter whether it will be mandatory, whether it will be carried out by one company or more.
Right.
What Parliament advises, if it sits with the condition that we find ourselves, it's one that will provide a solution that we desire.
Great.
We'll be open and willing to work.
I'm grateful. Kwame Tuahene is the Director of Communications at the National Road Safety Commission, the constitutionally mandated body to ensure safety on our roads.
News 360 Skype interview is brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go.
Let's turn our attention to other stories this evening as 2 suspected armed robbers reportedly shot a policeman in daylight robbery at Abekala Pass in Accra Thursday afternoon. The incident occurred at the popular Las Palmas restaurant along the George Walker Bush Highway. According to reports, the robbers, who were on motorbikes, shot the policeman 3 times in a scene eyewitnesses likened to an action movie. The masked robbers, armed with locally manufactured guns, reportedly opened fire, bringing activities at the very busy area to a halt. The policeman, an eyewitness said, was part of a team chasing the robbers. The armed robbers reportedly abandoned their motorbikes and snatched an Ash Hyundai Sonata in the full glare of the public. The eyewitness said the armed robbers, after the operation, headed towards Kaswa in the central region. Meanwhile, the injured policeman was rushed to the hospital by some bystanders.
All right, so let's say a bit further with this, Natalie, because it's a very worrying development. This happened in broad daylight. We're joined on the telephone by the Accra Regional Police PRO, ASP Efia Tenge. ASP, could you, first of all, good evening to you, and thank you for joining us now. Can you tell us exactly what happened, this shooting incident, per the police's account that you have so far?
All right, thank you very much. Yes, because of the work we're doing on the incident, I may not be able to give you the vivid explanation or the vivid account of what happened. But what we know is that two of our personnel who were on their routine motorbike patrols today around La Paz were shot by two armed men on an unregistered motorbike. And after the shooting, they snatched a saloon vehicle from another victim. Then they bolted with it towards the Malam Junction direction. For now, two of the police...
According to reports...
I'm sorry, please, you can continue.
Yes, two of the police officers who were involved in this unfortunate incident were sent to the hospital, but one could not survive and he has passed on. The other is still receiving treatment at the hospital whilst we continue to pursue these perpetrators.
One of the two policemen who was shot by these armed robbers has passed on.
Yes, exactly the case.
Wow. And what's the condition of the other who is receiving treatment now as we speak?
Okay, as of the last time I checked, he was in a stable condition.
But are you able to tell exactly what the motive of these armed robbers was in aiming at these two policemen and eventually killing one, as you're telling us now?
Yes, that is why I said earlier that we've not had a full account of the incident and that we are still gathering the various information and also seeing what happened. So until then, it's very difficult for us to come out to tell you vividly what happened and also to know the intention behind the shooting.
And this happened in broad daylight, and indeed, the viewers, you can see the shots that we have there capturing one of the armed robbers with a pump action gun, we're told, shooting there. You can see it on your screens. I mean, ASP, does this indeed worry you that this happened, such a crime happened in broad daylight on a busy road as the Abeka La Paz area?
Come again, I didn't get you.
I'm asking how this gets to you as the police. I mean, where it happened, I mean, the Abeka La Paz area, which is a busy area, and this kind of crime happened in broad daylight.
Yes, it was quite surprising. But what I can say is that this is not the first time we have ever encountered our situation of this nature in the past. But it's very unfortunate. But what I'll continue to say is that we have to continue to remain resolute in the pursuance of our constitutional mandate. And also, per our regimental orientation, we know that we are determined and definitely we are going to fight these criminals to their very dent, and also we shall win the battle.
Are you getting any support from the public, at least those who were around there when this robbery occurred, in trying to identify these persons, because obviously it was in broad daylight?
Frankly speaking, I must confess that the kind of support and cooperation we've had from the public since this afternoon has been very, 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 very supportive and very encouraging. And the kind of information that were coming from all angles were very good. But I know that with the kind of measures we have still put in place, that we are very optimistic that in no time these people will be arrested.
Thank you for your time, and I wish you well. Grateful. ASP Efia Tenge is the Accra Regional Police PRO.
In other stories, the KMA Circuit Court, presided over by Her Honor Mary Nsentre, has adjourned the case involving the 13 members of the Delta Force to August 8, 2017. This was after prosecutor ASP Otre Darko failed to appear in court today.
Chief Inspector Hannah Champon, who represented the prosecutor, informed the court that ACP Otredako is on leave. She prayed the court to adjourn the case to August 8, 2017. The court, presided over by Mrs. Maureen Century, consequently granted the application. Visibly unhappy, lawyer for the accused persons, Matthew Appiah, expressed worry over the turn of events.
We have been coming to court, and we expect that once the police have charged these persons, they have evidence to prosecute the case.
He is hoping to hear something about the investigation when they appear before the court on 8th August. The 13 were arrested after they stormed the office of the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator and allegedly assaulted him in the process on Friday, March 24, 2017. The 13 accused persons have been charged with conspiracy to assault, assaulting a public officer, and causing unlawful damage.
Now, property owners who have encroached on the East Legon Greenbelt in Accra have sued the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. The suit is asking the court to place an injunction on the assembly from demolishing their property.
This is the East Legon Greenbelt, and the new Metropolitan Chief Executive Mohammed Ejesoa gave a 21-day ultimatum to evict squatters and illegal structures sited on this land, and the expiration of the deadline was supposed to be June 7th, and a month and over. These illegal structures and squatters are still here on the East Legon Greenbelt. On Wednesday, May 17, the new Metropolitan Chief Executive led a task force to the Greenbelt asking developers to quit. This was after several attempts by city authorities to reject the illegal developers have proved futile. The developers have failed to heed the quit order as of Wednesday afternoon. 36-year-old Yaira Monui has been selling here for the past 9 years. According to her, though her shop was earmarked to be demolished by the AMA, she has no other place to relocate to. She laments how officials from the AMA collect 60 cedis from her as annual levy. I am yet to get a place to relocate to. I will plead with the AMA to allow us more time to relocate. The Metropolitan Chief Executive Mohammed Ejesoa said his outfit has not been able to carry out the eviction plan because of the injunction.
We have not taken action, mainly because the developers had stampeded us with a court action. So we are currently in court, we are seeking an injunction on our action. And we are currently in court to play with the court, not to allow the injunction, so that it will pave the way for us to take action as we have all planned to.
In 2009, the Residents Association of East Legon took the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Nungwastu Lands Commission, and all developers to court to reclaim all lands that have been encroached on the East Legon Greenbelt. The court ruled in favor of the Residents Association.
You're watching News 360. Remember, this bulletin is streaming live on 3news.com as well as TV3 Ghana on Facebook. We return with the very latest from the world of business with Parkwesi Asari in a few moments. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the very latest in the world of business. My name is Parkwesi Asari. We begin with some news within the banking industry, and the Chief Executive Officer of Universal Merchant Bank, John Ewa, says the bank's first funded One District, One Factory project will start in September. On March 30, the management of UMB earmarked $100 million to support government's One District, One Factory initiative.
Universal Merchant Bank was on the team that went to China with the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and the One District, One Factory Secretariat to secure $2 billion in financing from the People's Republic of China Private Sector Development Corporation.
UMB has earmarked $1 million for the government initiative and launched the UMB PPP Incubator Center, which will primarily support the One District, One Factory initiative. The Incubator Center will also support other public-private partnership projects that are not necessarily linked to the One District, One Factory initiative. CEO of UMB, Johnny Waugh, hinted the first of the One District, One Factory project will soon start.
It shouldn't be more than a month or two before we start seeing groundbreaking projects where we will launch the first partnership agreement. We are in discussions. We are very much involved in some of the initial projects. Once we start with the first project, we will begin seeing series and series of projects following. It's better to start properly, so that becomes your benchmark for the ongoing projects. And
he indicated there have been a series of discussions with the government and the One District, One Factory Secretariat on the implementation of the initiative.
Since we met the president a few months ago, a lot has happened in the background towards getting the policy framework around the One District, One Factory working, and also getting the other counterparties, because we are the intermediaries. We need the promoters to also be up and do.
Johnny Waugh stated industry players are involved in the process in order to achieve value for money.
We've been working with AGI, Association of Ghana Industries. We've been working with the office of the coordinator of the One District, One Factory, and also other policy makers, the Trade Ministry as well, on ensuring that when we launch, going forward, is going to be seamless, and the steps will be as easy to follow as possible. Even just yesterday, we were in a meeting where we just tied a few knots around the One District, One Factory operational framework.
The One District, One Factory will allow the country to reap the rewards of industrialization, increase agricultural and manufacturing output, reduce reliance on imports, and increase food availability. The program is expected to facilitate the creation of between 7,000 to 15,000 jobs per district and between 1.5 million and 3.2 million jobs nationwide by end of 2020.
All right, so we're going to stay a while longer on happenings at Universal Merchant Bank, because the Chief Executive Officer, as you just heard, Mr. John Ewa, says UMB will continue to be an assurance to consumers, or customers, as you may say. Speaking of the unveiling of UMB's 45th anniversary logo, John Ewa noted that UMB has served its customers at all times without fail.
Universal Merchant Bank UMB began its 45th anniversary with the unveiling of the anniversary logo. On March 15, 1972, UMB opened its doors to the public as the premier merchant bank in Ghana. UMB has since evolved, expanding its reach from corporate to retail and most recently into public-private partnerships with the creation of UMB PPP Incubator Center. CEO of Universal Merchant Bank, Johnny Waugh, indicated UMB has always pursued innovation, technology and exceptional banking products, and a commitment to providing its customers with the very best.
We have been responsible for the setup of enterprises, for growing small businesses into larger businesses, and some of the big businesses you call today started with us.
Johnny Waugh stated the bank is an assurance to customers,
keeping their deposit boxes, keeping their money for 45 years without fail, and nobody can point a finger to one single day where a customer has made a demand for fund and this bank has been unable to fulfill a promise to deliver. It is not a normal banking practice for 45 years in most countries, and even in this country we've seen bank failures.
Johnny Waugh was of the view that the next 45 years of UMB will deepen relationship with customers and partners, putting them at the center of what the bank does.
But we continuously review our processes through the feedback we get from our customers, through interactions such as this, and through other feedback loops that we have created in this institution to give us information on what the needs of the customer is.
During the anniversary period, Universal Merchant Bank will be launching innovative and remarkable products. The 45th anniversary activities will run into the end of December.
Well, away from the banking industry, government has set aside a $10 million seed money to boost entrepreneurship and innovation among young people. Now, launching the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan in Accra, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo was confident the initiative will reinvigorate the entrepreneurial spirit of Ghanaians.
The National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan is an initiative of government through the Ministry of Business Development. The initiative also serves as a pivot on which the Business Development Ministry will largely evolve to execute its mandate of supporting businesses and ideas. Business Development Minister Ibrahim Mohammed Awal said the initiative will improve the country's business climate.
We will continue to engage business owners, businesses, to make sure that we improve our GDP from 3.5% last year, over 6% this year. We need to engage private businesses and enterprise and diplomats to make sure that we further improve the business climate and make Ghana not only an attraction, but ensure that when businesses come here, they are competitive, they are sustainable, they expand, so I can employ the young people.
President Akufo-Addo said the $10 million seed money will accelerate the process of job creation.
This seed money should be leveraged to raise money from private sources and public organizations to the tune of 100 million United States dollars to fund its program. The overall objective of this plan is to stimulate private sector growth at the early stages of businesses, to accelerate job creation, and to provide entrepreneurial Ghanaian youth with a critical alternative to salaried employment.
He added, the initiative will create a positive entrepreneurship climate and stimulate private sector growth.
And to provide entrepreneurial Ghanaian youth with a critical alternative to salaried employment. It will help their businesses to grow and compete domestically and internationally. The National Entrepreneurship and Innovations Plan will, amongst others, provide tax incentives for startups owned by young entrepreneurs, incentivize and partner private sector investors to set up business incubator hubs and industrial parks for youth-owned businesses nationally.
The theme for the occasion was creating an entrepreneur-driven economy for job creation.
That's all for business. My name is Pakwisi. Sorry, for more news, you can log on to our website, 3news.com. Hand over now to Alfredo Kante to continue with the news. Pakwisi, thank you. Now, very sad news for some law graduates. They failed to stop the General Legal Counsel from administering entrance examinations and interviews for the admission into the Ghana School of Law. Godfrey Tenham is reporting that the application filed by some 11 students was dismissed on the grounds that the counsel for the students could not convince the court the examinations will cause an irreparable damage to the students.
Counsel for the 11 students, who is also the former director of the Ghana School of Law, Ansasari, wondered why the Supreme Court will allow the school to go ahead with the exam and interview for the students. Ansasari argued if the students went ahead with the exams, it will be illegal. He posited if students are allowed to participate in the exam, it will cause an irreparable damage. Lawyer for the General Legal Counsel, Nanaya Trafo, argued the High Court was not the right avenue if the students were not satisfied with the judgment of the Supreme Court. Listening to both arguments, Trial Judge Justice Anthony Yeboah said the orders of the court was based on a context. He explained the plaintiffs failed to convince the court taking part in the exam will cause an irreparable damage. Ansasari, after the ruling, said they will respect the decision of the court.
I don't expect that next year, by this time, we'll still find ourselves, in this whole mess, because this mess has persisted since 2012.
The students initiated the action following a landmark Supreme Court judgment describing as unconstitutional entrance examinations and interviews administered by the General Legal Counsel.
Watching News 360. We return shortly with the very latest from the world of sports with Thierry Nan. Some more sports news this evening. Stay with us.
All right, so I'm back again, this time to bring you some more sports news. Remember, I was here earlier to tell you about that particular story, the Kumasi Asante Kotoko bus accident. But let's still move on this time around with a Ghanaian player, Frankie Champong. He's joined a money train in the Chinese league after concluding 6-month loan deal to Tianjin Teda from Anderlecht. Champong, a Black Stars regular in the last 3 years, will be the only Ghanaian player in the league that has become popular because of the astronomical transfer fees and wages of some of the biggest names in world football. Some reports have suggested Champong could earn $1.2 million for the 6-month loan deal. Elsewhere, Ghana youngster Lawrence Atizigi has been outdoored at French club Sochaux and claims the potential lack of first-team opportunities will not hamper his progress. The 20-year-old who was first choice for Ghana at the 2015 World Under-20 Championship joined from Austria outfit Red Bull Salzburg. Still with transfers, long-term Chelsea target Leonardo Bonucci is close to a move to AC Milan, although Juventus hold out for a £60 million transfer fee. Juventus are ready to let the defender walk this summer after Bonucci informed them in January he wanted to leave the club. Bonucci wants to join Milan rather than move abroad as he targets staying in the Italian Serie A. And in England, Kyle Walker will become the world's most expensive defender and the costliest English player of all time after Tottenham Hotspur accepted a bid worth £53 million for him from Manchester City. The package includes a £3 million add-on fee and it takes him beyond David Luiz in the list of defenders and above Raheem Sterling in terms of players from England. Talking about
In the same this evening, the Ghana Music Rights Organization, that's GAMRO new policy to collect royalties from churches, has been criticized by some musicians as an attack on churches. Chairman of the collection body, Rex Omar, however, says the move will make musicians better off, arguing the efforts of composers in creating music will be well compensated.
Under normal circumstances, even if you go to normal church and you go and sing, "You are Alpha and Omega," it's somebody's copyrighted song. If we are going to go strict by the law, it must be paid for. GAMRO is the only legally mandated collective management organization in Ghana. We have reciprocal agreements around the globe to protect both foreign music and local music as they protect ours too.
GAMRO made its intentions to collect royalties from churches known to its stakeholders last week. The organization is of the view that once churches use music at their events, there is a need to compensate owners. The news has, however, been slammed by some musicians.
People are doing music, people are writing music, but most of the people who always take the money, you don't see them singing anywhere. Yet, they are taking even larger part of the money. So this is what Resoma and his team should, tackle first. If they don't know, they should invite me. I can come over to come and help them because we don't know most of them.
Ace musician Rex Omar, who doubles as chairperson for GAMRO, says their real intention for the policy has been misconstrued.
If I say we, GAMRO is the only legally mandated collective management organization in Ghana. We have reciprocal agreements around the globe to protect both foreign music and local music as they protect ours too. So, whether it's foreign music or local music, you have no choice so long as it's being performed publicly. You have no choice but by law pay to GAMRO.
He argued the effort of composers is often not compensated by event organizers, noting the policy will address that.
But what we're asking them to pay is when you pay the musicians to come and perform, you have to also pay the owners of the songs they are performing. That is a strict distinction, because if I take your song, a song that you composed, I've sung the song, by the virtue of the fact that I'm a popular artist, the song has become a hit. I'm going all over the country, whether it's a gospel, whatever, I'm performing, collecting money, put in my pocket. How do you get your money? You, the owner of the song. So people like you is what GAMRO protects.
Music producer and composer Martin Luther Owusu corroborated the idea.
You should understand the law, and it's new, you see. And I think perhaps Gamro is onto a new thing. Maybe they want to do something new.
Rapper Trigmatic is reported to have described the move as a lazy approach to extort money from churches.
Trigmatic is ignorant about what copyright is. He's ignorant about his own career. That is what I would say to him. Because if he understands, I don't believe Trigmatic has read the copyright law.
Can we do some education?
Well, certainly very different views on this policy. What do you make of it?
Absolutely. You say someone doesn't know his career. I think that it's a tall order for them. There are lots of churches
It's a very tall order.
There are low-hanging fruits that Rexomai and those people can grab instead of just going for this tall order. Well, but my name is Alfred Okanse. Thank you for staying with us here on News 360.
And I'm Natalie Fort. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Remember, news at 10 later this evening. We'll simulcast on 3FM 92.7. Have a good evening. Next is Tashan. Stay with TV3.